And interesting week this past week we got going on over here in the equities. Basically flat, pretty much. I mean, the last couple of days, really not much going on. You can see that we tried to rally up a little bit early in the week. We did take out the prior pivot, and then we just drifted right back down. We sort of didn't get into this supply zone up here on the ES just yet, right? On the weekly chart, you know, we popped up a little and we sold off a little bit, and we're sort of hanging around. The last 3 days are just really dojis, pretty much, more or less. And, you know, opening up a possibility of the pullback further, which I think also one more chance. I mean, if you look carefully at what's going on over here, right, we see like this, and then a little pullback over here, right, and then the rally up, and then a little pullback, and then pullback. So we might get something like this one more time, where we sort of do this little dip into, oops, went too far, but right into the supply zone over here. I'm not sure yet, and then, you know, I did it again, but we're going to sell off and crash out of there. So the question really is, you know, are we selling off right out of the dojis, or is there one more oomph coming over here, and then, you know, we collapse? Where either way, we're going down. There's no question about that. As far as I'm concerned, I think we have about no chance whatsoever of taking out this high without breaking this low first. We're going to break the low before we get through the top. So for me, it's more about the shorts. You know, if we decide to pop up out of here, I'm waiting with the short inside here. Otherwise, I'll be taking shorts underneath the lows of the last couple of dojis. I mean, you can see them 240 chart. You know, it's popped up, sold off. Right? So the question over here, does it do this? You know, make that more high through the top, or it just sells off from right here, right? And that's what we're looking for. So either way, we're looking for a short in, you know, in the ES this week. I think by the end of the week, we'll at least be inside the zone over here. And, you know, based on what went on the last few days, I think it was more about the options expiration. They just wanted to keep it pegged at where it was. And now we're going to start to let, you know, things move around a little bit. We'll be inside this zone at some point this week. If we break it this week, not so sure yet. We'll have to see what it looks like. But, you know, are we going under here? Absolutely. Are we going through here? Not until we go under here. Not until we do that. So first we're looking down, okay? So we're looking for the selling to continue, and let's see what it looks like on some of the small time frames. If we could see some opportunities setting up. You could see that over here on the 60 chart, we really pretty much hit the supply zone, I don't know, 10 times or so this past week. So much. And the resistance is just sitting right over here for now. The last 3-4 days, this was the zone that we were playing off of. It was originally demand back here, and it turned into a little supply right there. When we broke down through the zone with this lower high, and then we tried to get in, you could see once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6, 7 times, banging around inside this little area over here where the prior lows were sitting, and that's the supply zone that we've been banging around, okay? And the demand is actually a lower time frame. There's a little 15 demand over here that's holding us up. And we're just banging around in between them for the last couple of days. And that's why I'm not sure, you know, where we're going. Really, really nice supply if we get up here. Fresh, beautiful level. You can take a short there, no problem at all. Prior lows sitting over here, like a double top, and then you got nice looking supply. Fantastic. Right over here. If you want to take that short, that's fine. If we should get through here, you could try something like that, depending on just, you know, what it looks like. If it just, you know, starts basing in between, it doesn't give any room for profit, so obviously that's going to be an issue. But if we pop through this zone and go right into this sucker, no problem to take a short over there, okay? After that, you can see that really underneath here, look to the left, there's nothing, right? It's all air under here. So a breakdown out of here on the lower time frame, which I'm going to show you right now, is also going to get me into this short, okay? Let's take a look. So here's the 15 demand that's pretty much holding us up, right, over here, this little nonsense thing going on. And you can see that we're banging around in between this supply and demand, just going bang, 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 bang. We're just chopping people to death. We really should stay away altogether from this whole area until we break up or we break down, because you're just going to get chopped. I'm sure most of you have tried that. You know that unless you're quick with your profits and just trading the, you know, the extremes of the range, which is, again, a possibility for somebody who likes to trade that way. Personally, I don't. But that doesn't mean that you can't. I just wait for this thing to decide which way it wants to go, and then I'll make a trade. Till then, I'm watching this thing, just banging around. I have an ES trade in 2-3 days. So All that being said, I know some of my followers have made some nice money doing, extremes over here, and that's fine. Good for you. I love it. But those are the zones I'm looking at. There's some supply over here, right above the one that we're in, smaller time frame stuff. But you can see once we start getting underneath this area, really, there's really not much. This is a bunch of crap over here. There's a little bit of pausing area, but nothing that I'm concerned with. 2,700 is really the first spot that I'd be start to think we're going to get a decent bounce. Most of this stuff is if we stay in the little time frame bouncing around, then I might take a day trade type of thing, something like this. But for now, I really think we're looking much lower, we're looking to break the previously low pivots on the daily chart. Okay, so that's really what we're looking at for now. And I'm leaning totally short for ES. Okay. Anybody have a question? Go ahead, raise your hand. Otherwise, I'm going to go on to NQ and we'll see what comes out. Okay. The NASDAQ. Let's organize this thing over here so I can get to everybody's questions. Give me a second. Okay, perfect. Okay. So, Nazi. Again, you can see that we made a new all-time high this past week, right at the beginning of the week, and we started selling off. We closed at the lows of the week, so the price is getting rejected. Those highs are getting rejected. You can see it up here with the engulfing candle on the daily chart, but you could also see that we're sort of testing the breakout of the triangle over here, and we got 3 dojis in a row on the NASDAQ. Really nothing going on, right? And again, same idea. I think they were holding price just steady. Looking for, the options expirations and stuff like that, people that had puts and stuff to expire worthless before they really allowed this thing to collapse. That's what I think was going on there. And for now, we're looking over here. This is a giant bear flag. Look at the 240 chart. All right, looking at push down. Here's the staff. Here's the flag. Oh, bang, 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 bang. The trend is still up. Right, so it's possible that we pop up a little bit, but again, I'm leaning for this to be the false breakout over here, and then we're going to start to pull back down inside over here. We're going to we'll probably pull down into this demand and then back test a little bit into the resistance area of the upper part of the triangle, and then we start selling off. So there's going to be some selling pressure coming in. The NASDAQ is not as weak as the ES because it made that new all-time high. It's able to maybe bang around a little bit longer than the ES before it really collapses. But either way, it's going to get destroyed. Okay, so here's the supply and these demand zones for the 60 on the NASDAQ. You can see the supply sitting right overhead. We touched it once or twice, and you can see that the demand is just flat. It's this doji back here on the 60 chart that's really holding price up right here. This is the demand zone right here, and you can see we've banged into it, I don't know, a dozen times, and then we're just right now flagging over here on the 60. I was waiting all Friday for this thing to break down, and they just didn't want to let it go because underneath us is just air. There's nothing here. Right? You see that? At 7,000 on the 15 chart, there's a small little thing there, obviously because it's a nice round number, right around this area, but really on the 60, it's not there. The level is actually much lower. It's over here, where there's this double, the prior highs and the gap in there. That's where the demand is really sitting. So over here, a little pause. I'll show you the zone in a second, and then break down again. So we're looking at a sell-off coming into the NASDAQ. Could we pop up a little higher into the supply zone? Yeah, of course it could do something like that. But we're really, I can't see us getting back to the highs at all without first selling off. So looking for the weakness over here as well. Looking for the shorts. There's our 15 demand that I'm talking about. You can see we banged into that sucker a few times. There's a couple levels of supply. It's right over here, which against the wall on the NASDAQ. And again, oops, sorry about that. I'll try to get it for you. There we go. Okay, fine. And there's the air, okay? And that's the, where I'm talking about that area where that little prior area of the gap is sitting, and that, that I should show you on the 60. That's really where the demand is. We'll get a little pause over here, nothing major. Especially with all this basing sitting right over here, this becomes a drop-based drop. So we're just going to back test and give us an opportunity to catch the short this way. Okay? And that's what we're looking for NASDAQ so far this week. Again, leaning short. Okay. And if anyone has a question, you know what to do. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going until somebody raises their hand. Okay. Crude. So crude had rollover this week. So the charts are a little bit, excuse me, a little skewed only because of the rollover. If we look at the weekly chart first of all, okay, even with the rollover, we still have an inside week. So it looks quite bullish because this candle is half of, J and half of K. And we did have that, again, that late Friday rally, which the same thing happened the prior week. On Friday, the last Friday was this candle, I think, right? This one right over here, this big green rally Friday. And we're getting sort of to the top of this little breakout, although the trend line is getting popped. Remember, this is actually rollover a little bit. So it's not as bad as we think it is. And right over here, this high is where we need to stay underneath. As long as we stay under this high, no problem that we're heading here. The other possibility, which I'm starting to think about, is that maybe it wants to create a double top. I don't think we're going through the 66. But it may want to bounce back up into here, create a double top, and then sell off to 55. Either way, we're going to 55. That's where it's going. The only question is, are we going from where we are, which I would say my preferred path is that we're probably going to start selling off. Again, this is like a last little bull rush before we actually allow this thing to sell off. I think it's going to end up looking like a false breakout. But there is the possibility that it gets one more leg. One more green candle up here into this area, into the top, and then creates a double top and breaks. We're not going through all the way through this level over here without a considerable sell-off. It's not happening. But, one more push up to create the little bullish sentiment. If we take out this, the first lower high over here on the weekly chart, and then we hit this sucker and double top, and then we sell off. Either way, in a few weeks, we're going to be in 55. It's just the question is, do we start it now or later? And we'll know, once the price action starts on Monday, I'll be able to make that call. And we'll find out soon. But you'll see that on the 240, we landed inside the supply zone, outside the Bollinger Bands, and price just went to bed. I'll show it to you in a little time frame. And there's so much air underneath this thing that if it really is going to, get up into here, it's likely that on the small time frame it does some kind of back trace first. So we'll find out by Monday's price action which way this wants to go, and I'll send out a tweet and we'll know which way to plan. I'm still leaning that this is really just a stop run on the shorts, and we should be getting back inside this wedge, and there'll be the false breakout, and then we pop the other side and we end up to 55, 56 area. That level underneath us on the daily chart is what I'm looking for as my target on the shorts. In general, of a bigger picture stuff, I'm totally bullish this thing. Okay, so we're going to be, above this supply zone in the summertime. I think we're going to cross 70, maybe even 75. I don't know, but we're not doing it without hitting this zone first. This zone has to get touched, and then we'll go through the top after that. So the question is up and then down into the zone, or is it just break down out of here into the zone, and then we start the rally? Okay, and then again we'll know in the next day or so. Okay, let's go look at some of the zones that are in play currently for crude. All right, so there's the 60 chart, and like the trend is a mess over here. Right? It's not really doing anything. It's going sideways pretty much. The supply has been holding this zone over here, and the demand underneath us cut a little bit of demand, and we were like for 2 days just hanging around inside this little channel, and then Friday was just a total bull rush, no reason whatsoever for this nonsense, and it went right up into the fresh supply area on the 60. You can see it touched there and was starting to get rejected, and then the day just ran out. If this was a normal weekday, I'm pretty sure we would have retraced most of this, but Friday, okay, so they went to bed, and they left us with this tremendous amount of air sitting over here, and that's why I'm like, okay, well, what's going on over here? Are we just going to retrace this whole thing, or are we going to actually try to pop this supply zone, which I'm not so sure is really going to happen, but it's possible, and so we'll find out. Let's just take a look more and more at the 15 and see if we have a clue about what's going on over here. As far as the trend of the little time frames is concerned, you can see right here that this was really just a bull rush. There's no reason for this. It was just sleeping for 3 days, and they just turned on the buy program over there. And you can tell that the supply is sitting right over here. And then we did this small little head and shoulders thing starting. Right, there's the left shoulder here. There's the head. there. And then we did this drop-base drop right here, right? And then we sold off, we hit the demand. And then we came back to the supply right here, and then they ran out. So in a normal day, this probably would have broken down. Obviously, there's just so much air. There's nothing, and I mean nothing sitting over here at all. So anything we start breaking down out of this area, it's almost a full retrace. The only thing that the bulls will have a chance of doing is maybe defending the breakout area from this range back here. So if you want to take a short, you start to look for resistance in this area. And once we clear that, if we are able to, or if there's some supply in the way before, where it starts to base before it hits this thing, stay short, put your stop above that, because we'll pop through it and it's going to just start running away through these levels down here. And that's probably what I'm expecting to happen currently. That's what we're looking at over there on crude. Who's got a question? Anybody yet? Nobody? Maybe somebody? Hey, Jeff. What's up, man?
Hey Joe, can you hear me?
I got you.
Can you hear me? Can you show your 15-minute levels up above that 62.58? I'm thinking it's going to turn around 63 and do a fake break up there. I just want to say.
Yeah, it could be. Well, it's already got the fake breakout going on the daily stuff, right? So yeah, the levels I have above us over there. So we're looking at. I'll just this one here, right? That's the zone, and then we're looking over here. This one.
Okay.
And then that's just this whole hotness stuff over here. And so this is a zone here, and this is a zone over here. That's what we're looking at. I don't think it's going through there, but that's what we're looking at for now.
And the other thing I wanted. You're pretty bullish on crude. What makes you think once it hits that 55, it's going to go through the top rather than making a lower low? I was just curious.
A lower low after the. Oh, you're saying why am I bullish on the long term picture?
Yes.
Crude? Yeah. Okay. So let's go back there and I'll show you why. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. So. This is the weekly crude chart, right? This is a fresh area of demand up here. See this area that formed after we broke this top? See it? Right?
I got you.
So we popped out of the top over here. These candles pushed us through this supply. It was sitting up here, it was just, and then we rallied beyond that, another massive move, like $12 away from the area without a back test, right? So what I'm really looking for, this is really the first level of demand on the weekly chart, right? That is fresh, that we're looking for a test of. And what I'm watching for is just normally what happens when they're going to do a really big pop into a new area of resistance, higher time frame prices, stuff like that. They're going to do the fake out, which means they want to take this out and turn this into lower high, lower low, right? And then they hit this back test over here, and then boom, we'll get a big push up and take out this to the new highs. And that's what I think is actually going to happen. Again, remember that crude in the summer is usually quite bullish, right? And the usage goes up in the summer months, and we get drawdowns and all kinds of fun stuff. And I'm pretty sure that we're going to start to see some of the supply that's going out there, the production, to start to get chopped up, even by America. They're just starting to pump up the shale prices. When we break under here into 54, 55, they become unprofitable, right? And then they start to pull back on their production. And that'll, during the summer months, when we have increased usage and less production because it isn't profitable over here, well, then we start to have issues with the supply, and that's what's going to happen. It's going to go to the top. And we'll hit 70, and then once we get 70, I don't know what's going to happen. But I'm pretty sure we're going to see 70, maybe more. But that's my thought process there. Okay. Once we go underneath this pivot, we go under 60 even, they become unprofitable. The American oil at least becomes unprofitable. So that's what I think that we're going to start to see. Okay, cool. All right, we'll go on from there, and we're going to let's figure out what are we doing. Gold. Okay, so gold started to do what I expected to happen, and I think it's going to continue this week. It's really more about the dollar. So maybe we'll just look at the dollar quickly first, and then we'll go back to gold and the euro and stuff like that. I think what I've been talking about for the past couple of weeks is that the dollar's sell-off really has to come to an end. Okay, we're going to be raising interest rates, and the dollar should be getting stronger. It should not be getting weaker, and the bulls are going to start taking control of this thing. So we had a rollover this week. That was this little gap down area that we saw. It's really the rollover gap. But at the end of the day, if you look at this on the, let's call it the non-rollover chart, you're looking just at the M's, you'll see that we're looking pretty strong. The dollar just back tested a little bit over here. Right, we ended up in some demand from the daily, and we start rallying out, and we'll be back up here this week, no question about that. And we'll probably get all the way through this first little pivot over here, and we end up all the way up to 91, at least, is what I'm thinking for. I don't know if we're going to pop up and get to 93 this week. We'll probably get there, in another week or two. But for now, I would say on the M contract, our target is around 91, and that's a lot of strength for the dollar and continued weakness for gold, euro, pick your currency type of thing, okay, which you started to see on Friday. We're going to get into that in a second, but let's take a look at gold first, because I think we're finally ready to collapse over here on gold. Let's take a look at the weekly chart first of all. Okay? I'm going to get my pen and that's my mouse. Where the hell is my mouse? Oh, there it is. Okay, so here's the pen. Take a look what happened over here. Base, and now we're getting this lower high closing below the lows of the prior week. And exactly what do you see underneath this candle? Look here. Nothing. Okay, so this is done. Gold is finished. The time for the sell-off is here. And yeah, that's money, Pepe. It's exactly what it is. Okay, so we're going under 1,300 this week. Okay, and that's going to happen as the dollar starts to rally again. And take a look at the level that we're talking about breaking down out of. This is the last attempt at 1,300. We got a nice bounce, a $40 bounce, but it's the first time we got that far down in months and months. So now we're coming back to it again, and we have a lower high in place again on the daily chart. Right over here with the bounce back, and we couldn't even get into the daily supply. We turned around at the lower level, right? And we are now coming back over here. This is going to break. We're going under 1,300, and under 1,300 is air. There's nothing here, at least from the daily levels, right? And again, the target here is right around this area. It's around 1270, 1260. There's a breakout of a channel of a wedge that goes over here. I don't, so I'm looking at least for now someplace maybe around this demand zone to get retraced into. So there's still another $30, $40 down for gold. And I think we're going to see that part of that move at least this week. I'll take a look at the 240. If we see something that might stop it before it gets down there, but this is going to be this week. Here we go. 1308 is the last bounce from 1303. And when we zoom out and we look underneath that zone, which should break again, you could see that back here, there's really not much at all. Even on the 240 chart, there's nothing great until we get to 1280, somewhere over here. This range, this is nonsense. There's no candles. Look how small they are. Nada. Zip. Right? Over here, okay, now you're starting to talk, but that's already 1280. Right? So we're talking about a nice sell-off still coming for gold. And we're looking for that to develop this week. So the shorts, let's go find it, where it is, and how we're going to catch this sucker. Fantastic supply zone. If we can get there, I don't know that we're going to see that one up there. It looks like we on Friday had that sucker a chance to trade that one. I was actually in this trade, and I pissed myself so bad. I was pissed off. I actually got stopped out by like 4 or 5 ticks at the top, and I wasn't at my computer to get back into the trade. And I came back like 20 minutes later. I missed this whole move down, and I had it. I was in the short from over here, so pissed myself off. But that happens sometimes. Nothing you can do about it. It was around the same time that I got into the euro short on Friday morning, and that one was able to catch, but this one ran away without me. And never really gave a great re-entry, so I never ended up getting any of it. But there is this thing right here, which I really like for an opportunity for a short. We'll have to see what happens tonight. But there, look at this fantastic supply. Look at that tight little doji in between the massive move up and the massive move down, right where the prior lows are sitting. I mean, that is gorgeous. Okay, looking right here. And hopefully that will give us an opportunity into the shorts. Okay, so right there, and now if we're able to catch it in here, the target is now under 1,300. So we're talking about maybe 20 bucks to the downside off of a little 15-minute zone that is right now looking to be about, I don't know, what is that, 10, 12 ticks, nothing. All right, so that's a fantastic supply. Okay. Good. Okay, moving on. Next. If you have a question, you know what to do. Let's take a look at Euro. And the Euro is obviously going to be selling off after we've done the dollar is going to be rallying strong this week. So the Euro over here has back tested into these highs quite a few times and has been unable to get anything going. Even with this green candle, again, that was rollover. We rolled over and gapped up, and then we filled the gap. Right, it was part of our trade that we took, the rollover fill, right, the gap fill, and then we back tested. This was the Friday short that I had tweeted out off the supply zone on the 240, and then the collapse, and we're in the air. You could see that we're not done. There's no demand here for another, I don't know, all the way down to 1.23 or less. So we just based around because we got a little further than we intended, right? And down to the Bollinger Bands and sort of came into the smaller time frame demand over here. We just hung around a little bit, but again, what are we looking for over here? A continued sell-off, maybe a little pop into smaller time frame supply, and then another leg down coming. We're going into this thing over here. Okay, so remember that these candles on the regular chart are not up here. This is rollover, right? So they're down here someplace, okay, and therefore lower highs and lower lows are still intact, and we're going to break down over here. 121 is the target for now. There's the fresh demand zone that's sitting underneath us, I think, on the 240 at 121. Just pointed out again. I think I put it in the last 2 or 3 webinars already, but that's the one that I'm looking for. There it is. Yeah, that's the sucker right there. So that's the target over here. This thing right here. That's our target. Okay, so we're sitting up here, and let's take a look, see if we can find another short someplace, some smaller time frame. This will be broken, and we'll get through all this crap and come down here. Remember, this is not a higher high. It's rollover. Okay, so no problem to bust these suckers and end up down here. Okay, so that's what we're looking for Euro this week. Let's go take a look at 60, see if we find an entry there. End up closing my Euro on Friday and carried over the weekend. And there it is. So there's a 60 supply zone all the way up here. That one I don't know if we're going to see. There might be something small over here maybe. Let's see. Take a look around 124 maybe. Let's see. Nope. Not on the 15. There ain't. I'll go look at the 5 in a second. So this on the 15 is where we've been. It should actually be like this. All right. So you get the wicks over here, and with those you can see that's where the prior low was, and we're just banging around that sucker. So not sure what's going to happen here. This looks like a little bit of a wedge, right? As far as this little banging area here, we might get a little bit deeper. Right? If this breaks up, we might get a little deeper. I think there might be something over here, just because that area looks like somewhere where I would think there would be supply. So let's go take a look for a second on a 5-minute chart. Pretty big candles over here, so we may have be able to find a zone on something smaller. Oh, there it is. There it is. Yep. Okay, so there's the supply. It's right around 124. Okay. And that was not a setup, by the way. I didn't even remember to realize that I drew this on there, but that's where it's sitting at. And you can see that the lows are sitting right there. This is the thing right over here that's holding up this right here, this little basing area that's going on is because of this little supply zone over here. And we might pipe that, but this is beautiful. So if we get up there, I'm in. Okay, 124 for the shorts. Cool. Any questions? Not yet. All right, let's go. That guess. So Nat gas on the weekly chart doesn't look that great for the longs. Was talking about the potential for entry into a long swing here, which I've done on Friday. I'll show you in a second, but I'm not loving it. I took a very small position so far. This looks pretty bearish to me, and maybe want to get one more time down here on the weekly chart. Right over here, you could see that we had this little basing area that we rallied out of, but then we had this reversal pattern right here. See that on the daily charts? And then bang, bang, came back here. So if this is going to hold, it better start holding, because if it breaks, that's 125. That's what this is over here. And we're going underneath this sucker. So on the 240, we landed right inside our demand zone. We based. We chewed through the supply. I'll show you in a second. And we start to rally. You can see the air here. So it got me into the long. I'm just worried that it's not going to really make the move that I'm thinking yet. It might just turn over here, make another lower high, and then break down. So cautious longs for now. We'll have to see if we have to follow through with price action tomorrow. Right here was the level that it landed on, the 60. And you can see how much air there is up there, right? And that's why I'm interested in starting the long down here, because we're in this level of demand on the higher time frames, and we started to hold. It was a nice push down, and we double tapped the bottom right here. You can see that with the wick into the bottom, and then we started rally out. We broke through the highs. So that got me in. Now I'm in. Okay, great. Let's see if we can get this thing going now, and push up. I'm pretty sure we're going to gap up tonight. We'll find out. But if we give this level up, so this is not holding back here, and we're going down into the 125s. So I have to watch what Nat gas is going to do tomorrow. Right now, cautious long is what I would say. I'll show you how I got into this trade and why I took the trade, and then we'll see what happens, right? So right here was the supply zone that was created, right? And there's our demand that was pushing into the bottom, and we banging around on this sucker and pretty much all day. And then we pushed down in the middle of the night. That's that wick I showed you on the 60. We held the bottom. We rallied up, and then I was just waiting for this level to break. And then I wanted to get in, and it did. So it broke up. It pulled back. I got in over here after this thing closed. Okay? And now I know that's pushed back down. It's going to make the higher low. And what's getting me excited, even though we're in a downtrend on the 60 so far, is that all this air is sitting over here. And there's a very nice supply zone up here, and that will sort of tell me what's going to happen. If we're able to get through this thing, then I know that this is really the bottom. But if we're not able to get through this thing, this supply zone, then we're likely to break down underneath this and get to the 125. So for now, inside the air, nothing wrong with being long. We'll see how it opens tonight, and then tomorrow we'll have to figure out what happens once we get to this zone. Okay? But so that's my cautious, optimistic longs. If it really is the bottom, the target here for the next leg up is back to like 2.9. It's a huge move over here. Right? It's cool. It's the 240 chart, and all right, we should get through this over here, because the sell-off here, this is an uptrend on the 240, and then we just have a drop, base drop. And we come into demand. So this is still an uptrend, and this is demand. And now we should be able to get up here, create a higher low. 2.9 is up here someplace. So that's what I think what should happen if this is really going to be the bottom. So we'll find out. But that's the trade for now. It's long in the air, and then we'll watch what happens as we get up into that supply I just showed you on the smaller time frame. Okay? Cool. Now, let's talk about JY. Okay, start here. So JY also had rollover, and looking pretty bullish. On the weekly chart, right? We're into this whole, election wick stuff on most of the currencies back here, and this is an engulfing candle. Again, it is rollover, so it's not, as big as we think. But the gap on JY was pretty small. It filled immediately. So yeah, this is a little bit stronger than we think, right? And we've broken out of the range, back tested into it, and then engulfed. I think we have one more pop up coming before we come back to test something lower down over here. So there is another leg up coming here, I think. Let's take a look on the lower time frame for a second. And there's our JY, there's our little rollover gap over here, right? And there's turning into demand. Pushed up, made a higher low, higher high, higher low. I think we have a little more room. See, there's still got room to run a little bit. I'm going to zoom out a little, see how far that zone goes. Oh, it's way up there, dude. It's coming from way back. It's coming from the election wicks up back there. So I think we're going to see 9.6 up here. I'm going to get through a little deeper into this thing. So this back here is that wick. It's really long. There's just air up there. It's not much. So the next push up is going to be a pretty good one. So I think we're going to see some strength again in JY this week. Again, because we have no supply up there for some room, plenty of room, and that would make sense if we're going to start selling off on the equities. The only thing is that, you know, the dollar is actually showing strength also, so that should sort of, you know, negate the strength of how far JY is really going to go. Right? So it's going to have a little bit of the contradictory forces on it, right? Where the equities are going down, and JY should be going up, but the dollar's going up, so JY should be going down. So it's going to move up, I think, but just not as much as we would expect it to normally do. Here's our little 60 chart. Here's our demand. And this one never made the gap fill, right, like the other ones did. So, right, this one, here's our gap, little gap up, right? And we pulled back right over here. We had an opportunity to try and fill that gap. We just didn't. Right? Strength. We hit some supply on the 60 and still making higher highs and higher lows. I think we're going to retrace this and end up getting up even a little bit higher. So longs for JY would make sense to me. You know, pullbacks into demand are the way to go. So where are those? Let's see. Here's our 15-minute chart on Friday. What do we have? Well, we touched it already. We've already touched it. So you'd have to actually wait for new demand to form over here, which means we'd have to hit the supply over here. Right, this sucker. And then we get some kind of pullback and an opportunity to get long. Because over here, this is just breakout into the air stuff. And the supply is sitting right here, so it's not really going to give you the right risk to reward ratios. So there's no trade available just yet. You want to be long, but the chart's not telling you that it's time yet. Okay? So let's leave that alone. Let's move on to Aussie. Aussie looks like crap. Look at the weekly candle. My God. Excuse me. Excuse me. All right. A little sneeze there. Okay. So here we go. Take a look at the weekly candle on Aussie. Are you kidding me? That is a wicked engulfing candle. Okay. We did have rollover on Aussie as well, but guess what? When we rolled over, the Aussie actually gapped up. So this sell-off is real. Okay. It's worse than it looks because we gapped up. We erased the gap, and then we covered all of last week's price range. Look at this. Okay. So this is really starting, and that's also telling me that gold is up the creek. Okay, so this is selling off worse than gold. Take a look over here. What we're looking at on the daily chart. There's fresh demand over here, and that's the target, 7,600 for Aussie dollars for now. We're into the air pretty much, and once we get under this wick, which we will be getting under the wick because we have lower highs, we're going to break under that, and we'll be inside this zone this week. Inside for Aussie. So there's another 100 or so at least before we have to worry about Aussie at all. So any back test of a smaller time frame supply is a short entry for Aussie dollars. Okay. Take a look at 240, which is total collapse. Bang, bang, bang. If for some reason we touch this supply, don't think twice. I don't think we're going to see it. We'll probably have to pick a lower time frame supply, maybe sitting over around here, 77.50. But we're going underneath this thing. There's just no question about it. Looks terrible. Any rally is a short. That's what Aussie is. So there's 77.80, 77.70 or so. That looks like pretty good supply on the 60. Right? The first level is a little bit lower, but this one looks great only because we've got lows over here, right back here. That looks really nice. This one is also decent. You know, that's the 77.50 thing I was just talking about over here. But that's just a little bit closer to current price. So, you know, Aussie doesn't tick that much. And so it depends on, you know, what your what your appetite is. I personally don't love to trade Aussie just because I like to trade things that move a little faster. But if you're an Aussie person, there's the zone right there, 77.50 on the 15 chart. That's the one I wouldn't be trading. That's the one I like the best, actually. And right there, if we get a rally into this short here, that's the one you want. Okay. Nice tight doji over there. So far, so good. Nobody's questioning me. Uh-oh. Let's look at the pounds. Pounds have been the strongest currency, actually, this past week. And we have broken out of this daily wedge up there. Again, the rollover is involved, so the numbers look a little bit bigger than they are. But again, the pound filled the gap almost immediately. So and then we back tested on Friday into this demand, and we went right back into the range. You can see on the weekly chart, we've got the reversal pattern over here with this evening star type of candle underneath us over here, right? And then the breakout coming over here. So it looks like there's a lot of air up here on the daily chart. If this thing really wants to go, you know, there's room for the pounds. So we'll have to see if that's going to happen, or is it really just going to stall out again because the dollar is getting strong. We'll have to wait and find out. But for now, there's the fill, there's the gap. There's the fill for the gap right over here, right away. There's the demand zone we touched, and now we'll have to see if this is going to, you know, make a lower high. Well, then there's some demand underneath us back over here. We probably get a little bit of a sell-off. Oops, I just moved it. We'll get a sell-off down over there because there's air underneath this zone. So if we do make a lower high, that's better. Right here, we'll have to watch what the pounds does tonight. Because we sort of landed in the area of supply on the smaller time frame over here, right when we're closing, right, this little breakout area. And if this turns into a lower high and we come back here, this is going to break. And now we're back to 139, and then we're really back into the range, and maybe this was a false breakout. We don't know. You know, we'll have to wait and see what happens here. I'm not really taking too many longs on the currencies, only because I'm expecting that the dollar is really going to rally. So there's not going to be a lot of legs to the upside. You know, if it does go. So we'll have to see what happens here. There's the supply that we just touched. You can see we're literally on the last candle of the day touched the supply zone. And now we don't know what's going to happen anymore. Right? There's the supply. Here, there's our zone. And there's the touch right there at the last. And now it's just, you know, on one bounce off the bottom. So yeah, could this, you know, sell off over here? Yeah. Actually, it should. And if it's going to, when it does over here in this area, it will tell us what to expect. If we're able to make a higher low, then I'll tell you, yeah, we're going to go through this area, we're going to go back to the top, and that looks great. But if we don't, and we just come back to the zone, this will break, and we just look on the 60, there's air under there, and we're back below again. So, you know, no idea which way this wants to go just yet. We'll have to watch. Cool. All right. Let's go take a look at Canadian, which looks like a disaster. It's actually one of the better trades setting up on Canadian this week. Let's go take a look here and take a look first at the weekly candle. I mean, ouch. Can you say failed hammer? Worse than that, engulfing candle? Oh my God. Take a look at the weekly candle, the monthly chart. Where are we? We're in the air on the monthly chart with nothing underneath us. Look on over here. There's nothing underneath us. The demand is at 7,500 even. That's what we're looking at. So we've had a really strong sell-off over here, right? We back-tested right into the supply on the daily chart, and then we broke the bottom. And now we have a new supply zone sitting right over here, right? Okay, and take a look over here. First level of supply over here looks really nice. I don't know if we're going to get there. So we're in a crash wave going on over here, right? You can see this thing that's just been selling off. Look at this. I mean, disaster, right? So again, any rally, if you get one for some reason, is going to give you a short. There is supply over here on a 60 chart. I'll show it in a minute, right over here. And that's an opportunity, I think, to get into the shorts again. So if we pop up into this area, get ready It looks like Canadian's going to 7,500. That's 75,000, whatever you want to call it. That's where it's going. Basically 75 cents. That's where it's going. So let's go take a look at the lower time. Oh, there it is. Okay, so there's our short for the 60 chart. It's right there at 76.80 if it can get up there. Okay, it did touch twice, but it made a new low. Right? The zone was actually created over here. We sold off a little bit, back tested it right there, and then bang, we sell off. We made a new low, so this is still valid as a short. It looks like the 50 average will probably be in there if we're able to rally back to that. There's another level a little bit lower down, which we can look at over here. You can see we're sort of landing in supply and demand under there on the 60, so we might get the bounce that we're looking for. Actually, yeah, we touched the demand on Friday again with the last candle. All right. I don't really love anything before this. There's something small over here. I can't see that doing anything. This is good, and this is fantastic if we can get here. I don't know if we're going to see it, but 77 even is awesome. This looks like 76,800 right over here, and then, looking for 75. That's right. And that's sort of telling me that, crude is going to sell off like I expect. But we'll find out. Okay? And that's the Canadian charts. If anyone has a question, go ahead. Help yourself. Ask. Going into copper. And we're looking at, first, the weekly charts. Pretty ugly looking channels there. Right? We looked like we were getting ready to rally last week, and then it just got totally reversed. Here, this is starting to look like a failed hammer, and now I think we're going to try and push down into this. It looks like, at least for now, that this is in trouble. It looked like it was ready to go, and it, unfortunately for Cooper, decided that it's not want to go that way. It's lower. We got rejected on the highs of last week. You can see that on the daily chart over here. We got slightly above the prior week high, which was over here, and then we just totally erased that. Okay? And then we back tested. You can see the big reversal right here on the 240 chart off the supply zone. That was it. That's it. Done. We tried to go, couldn't get there, immediately sell off, break all the bottoms, and then we just based out a little bit over here for a little bit. So this is going lower. There's no question about that. Okay. This is not finished. So again, rallies will give us an opportunity to get short. Take a look here. There's the 60 chart. There's the supply gets touched. Fantastic touch. Oh boy, look at that. Boom. Right into the supply back here with the doji, and drops off into the air. This is looking like a head and shoulders. So I can see it. Right? See it? There's our head up here. And there's the shoulder here. And there's the shoulder over here. All right, and now the neckline is way down. So this is turning over. We should look for, this is 60. Maybe there's a 15 supply someplace over here that we can catch the short for the next piece of this puzzle, which is going to be somewhere back here. Okay? There is good demand over here, right around 3.8. It's okay, but if we catch it up here, somewhere over here, about 3.1 and change, this is a pretty big trade. Copper's expensive at $12.50 a tick. So that's a whole lot of money. Let's go look over there. On the smaller time frame. There we go. Okay, so there's the supply that's actually sitting there already. After that, there's air, so we'll have to watch what happens in this zone. I don't mind taking that short. This is just one bounce off the bottom, and that looks like a really nice level for a short. All right. Let's go take a look at soy, and then we'll look at the bonds, and we'll call it a week. Let's go. Soy. I love what I'm seeing over here. Okay, and in case you're wondering what direction I'm thinking up, baby. Last week we had a wicked reversal. See that? Which we were in the air. What happened here? Why? What the hell is this? That shouldn't happen. And it's telling me the bulls are here, baby. They're here to stay. Look at the breakout on the daily. There's the drop and the base drop, and we fell right into the demand breakout area over here. We tested the lower part of this wedge, and then bang, we're right through this sucker, and we're creating another higher low on the daily chart. We're going back through here and likely through the top. So I'm looking for a long. I would like to see if I could get it somewhere over here, a little boom back test and things like that, something like that. Next move up in soy. on Friday. I tried to look at it, and I was not able to catch it yet. You can see over here, there's the little demand that was created on, and it wasn't something I was willing to trade yet over here, and it just went back into that, and then just shot out of that. This looks like it might want to be just one more leg down, only because it's looking like a bear flag, right? See all this basing area over here is just looking like, this is the staff, this is the flag, and that's why I'm long. I'd like to be long running, but I just want it to pull back into demand area for me. I'm not going to buy it over here. There is a supply zone sitting right here that can give us something for maybe a back test into this area, and that will give us, you know, the next leg up. So I'm going to watch this for a chance to get into the long, to swing trade for a long, and the target is now going to be somewhere around 1100. It's really a nice long for soy. So. Take a look here on the 15. There's some demand. It's really nice under here. I don't mind taking that. Actually, should be a little bit lower with the doji. Oh, I drew it with the wicks against the wall and get up inside the doji. Okay, so we have to watch that over here. There's the supply that we had on Friday, right at the close. So maybe we get a chance somewhere down here to see what happens. So we're looking for longs in soy, and I'm just not where we are. We have to wait for this to sort of clean up the mess that it's sitting in. Okay. Look at the bonds. On the weekly chart, looks pretty bullish. Right? We've gotten that nice little evening star candle over here, reversal pattern with the the big ERC and then the doji and the opposite color ERC over here, looking like it wants to rally. That's what it looks like on the weekly chart. But when you start to look at some of the other charts, sort of like a false signal, I would think. Take a look over here on the daily chart. First of all, that we're getting the opposite formation on the daily chart. And we're getting the morning star candle up here, reversal, going the other direction. Right? This. So Thursday, Friday sort of told us that this was the beginning of the week, and then they said, we're done. We got to sort of hit the supply that was sitting over here, and price is reversed and we engulfed on Friday. And this is getting ready to make the new low, which is what's going to really cause the catalyst, I think, for the market to sell off, is the interest rates. If they're going to start climbing again, this should start breaking down, I think, over here. I don't know. I don't see us really getting through this level, at least for now. It looks like to me that this wants to sell off some more. Let's take a look on the lower time frames. There's our 60 chart. And then we sort of double top up there. You can see that, right? And now we're starting to break down out of these zones over here. So this is looking to be like, the end of the double top is in sight. That's for sure. That's the just immediate target is right over here where the origin of the move for the double top was. And then we'll have to see which way it wants to go. I think we're heading lower still. After that, so you can see that this has been rejected. These are our highs at 145. We should be back to the 142s at some point, and I think maybe even lower this week. And once that starts, then the market's going to collapse. That's our level for the bonds. Anybody have any questions on anything at all so far? While you're deciding if you want to ask, I'm going to tell you this Wednesday is a webinar again, and the live trading session for this week. There'll be the second one for the month. It's this coming Wednesday, so we have an 8:15 a.m. webinar, 10 a.m. live trade. Okay? And if anyone has any questions, go ahead, ask. Otherwise, I will see you all on Wednesday. Cool? Cool? Got it. All right, guys. Have a great one. Enjoy the rest of the day. See you then. Ciao.